Okay, so we're diving into some pretty intense stuff online this time.
Oh, yeah.
This TikTok by this high school teacher, Austin.
Yeah.
And he is calling out some stuff with boys in his classes that's,
Really got people talking.
yeah, and it's gone totally viral.
Yeah.
We've got his video, comments on the video,
Yeah.
news articles about it, and even some research data that we can kind of connect to this whole thing.
Yeah, it's interesting how this one little video has sort of opened up this can of worms.
Yeah, so by the end of this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
you'll understand, hopefully, like all the different viewpoints on the issue, the factors that are at play, and like what it all means for the future.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say right up front that we don't have any answers.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, this is a complex issue, and we're just going to kind of explore it together
Exactly.
and see what we can learn.
Yeah, I mean, his video is raw and unfiltered, and it just hits a nerve, I think, because we're all kind of worried about, especially if you have kids or, work with kids, the influences that are shaping young men today.
Absolutely, and I think Austin's video really taps into those anxieties that a lot of us are feeling.
Yeah, he does not hold back.
No.
He describes the boys in his classes making jokes.
Like really offensive jokes.
Yeah, about death, racism.
Like stuff you wouldn't expect to hear.
Yeah, it's like beyond the pale.
Yeah, and what's so disturbing is that he describes them saying these things out in the open.
Right, yeah.
Like they're testing boundaries.
It's like they don't realize, or maybe they do and they just don't care, that this is like so inappropriate.
Right, and that's what's so concerning is that there's this apparent lack of awareness that Austin describes. They don't seem to get how serious their words are.
Right.
The impact they have on other people.
And he says, when he tries to address it,
Or other adults try to...
yeah, they get met with this like defensiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Like hostility.
Yeah, like, how dare you challenge me?
Yeah.
And it's like this wall goes up.
He even recounts this really chilling incident
Oh,
in the hallway where a student makes a joke right in front of him.
right there.
And he says, "What's so funny about..."
And the kid just stares at him and flips him off.
Yeah, like what?
It's unbelievable.
Like something out of a movie.
Yeah, but this is real life.
In a high school.
Yeah, scary.
And so this is where his argument comes in about accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no accountability. And he says without that, without like consequences,
Right.
these boys are just emboldened to continue.
They're going to keep pushing the boundaries.
Right. And his solution, though, to bring back public shaming.
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, that's where all hell broke loose in the comments.
The comment section is just a war zone.
Oh my God.
You've got people saying that shame was super effective, like back in the day.
Right.
Like it was a tool for social control.
But then there are other people that are like,
Horrified by that idea.
are saying it's damaging, psychologically damaging.
Right, that it's unethical.
And that it could backfire.
Big time.
And honestly, I don't know.
There's no easy answers here.
No, there's not.
It's a really thorny issue.
And it makes us, like, forces us to look at how we as a society address bad behavior.
Right. Have we gone too far away from traditional discipline?
Like, is that what's happening?
Are there other ways to hold kids accountable?
Without resorting to shame?
Without resorting to shame, right? And these are questions that everyone is thinking about right now.
Parents, teachers, policymakers.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know what to do.
It's a tough one.
And he doesn't let male teachers off the hook either.
No, he doesn't.
He makes this really impassioned plea for other male teachers to step up and be positive role models.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, and he even calls out, like, a colleague, an English teacher, who says that he won't teach any books with female protagonists.
Oh, wow.
Because, quote, boys can't empathize.
Wow.
Like, what?
That's really something.
I mean, that comment just says so much
The-
about the expectations and roles that we still have.
that we're still struggling with.
Yeah, like we're telling boys they can only relate if it's their gender.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it's really troubling.
It is.
And it gets even more complex
Oh, yeah.
when you bring in the research that he talks about this ideological divide between,
Young men and women.
yeah, globally.
Yeah.
Young women are more progressive, young men are more conservative.
It's a growing trend.
Yeah. And then he brings up this data from the U.S. post-election.
Which is really striking.
Yeah, young men favored Trump.
Young women favored Harris by a huge margin.
It's like an unprecedented gender gap within Gen Z.
Right.
And it really makes you wonder, like, what are we teaching these kids?
Right. What messages are they getting?
Yeah, where are they getting them from?
Yeah, it's a big question.
And of course, Austin blames the internet,
The internet.
online echo chambers,
Oh, for sure.
and this whole, like, Gen Z, bro, media.
Right, which is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, and he talks about figures like Andrew Tate,
Oh, of course.
who just have this huge online following.
Yeah, millions of followers.
It was like really misogynistic.
Yeah, very controversial.
Yeah.
And it's not just hate, it's the whole online ecosystem
Right.
geared towards young men.
Yeah.
Think about the podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are right-leaning or apolitical.
Yeah, and those algorithms are just hungry for clicks.
Oh, yeah. Engagement equals money.
And it's amplifying the harmful content.
And reinforcing those negative stereotypes.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It really is. They get drawn into these spaces where they think they belong.
Right, like where they're understood.
Yeah, but then the content just pushes them further down this path.
Of like isolation and anger.
Yeah, it's a dangerous cycle.
And that's where I think his point about male loneliness comes in.
Yeah, the loneliness epidemic.
Research shows that men, especially young men, they're struggling
With isolation.
and a lack of connection.
Reconnection.
And it can lead to all these terrible feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Despair, vulnerability.
And then they seek belonging in these unhealthy online spaces.
So it's a vicious cycle.
It is. They feel isolated,
They try to connect online.
but then the content they're consuming makes it worse.
Right.
It's heartbreaking.
And he blames parents.
Well, to a certain extent.
Yeah, he's saying that a lot of parents are just giving kids unfettered access
To the internet.
without thinking about the consequences.
Yeah, he makes this comparison.
Yeah, it's like letting a 12-year-old
Watch an NC-17 movie.
unsupervised.
Yeah, and that really makes you think,
It does. It's like,
wow, what are we doing?
yeah, are we just handing them over to the wolves?
It's a good question to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not about, shutting down the internet
No, of course not.
or like trying to shield boys from everything out there.
Right.
It's more about being like proactive
Mm.
and engaged, like having those conversations.
Just conversations.
Yeah, setting boundaries.
Teaching them to think critically.
Yeah, like how to navigate this crazy world.
Okay, but how do we actually do that?
Right. Like what are some practical steps?
Yeah, what can parents and educators do?
I think one of the most important things is to be that counterexample
Okay.
to like all the negative stuff they're seeing.
So, like, be the good guy.
Yeah, basically show them that strength and empathy aren't like opposites,
Mm-hmm.
that vulnerability isn't a weakness,
Right, right.
and that respect for others is just like fundamental.
Yeah, it's not enough to just tell them what not to do.
Right. You got to show them.
Like, what does healthy masculinity actually look like?
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect.
Of course not. We all mess up.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, but the key is to like admit when you're wrong.
Apologize. Model those good behaviors.
Yeah, because they're always watching.
Even when we think they're not.
Right, even when they pretend they're not listening.
It all goes back to that role model thing.
Right, and that's where male teachers,
Mm-hmm.
fathers, uncles, mentors, coaches,
All the men in their lives.
yeah, they need to step up.
And show them that there's different ways to be a man.
Ways that don't involve aggression or dominance
Right.
or suppressing your emotions.
Austin talks about reminding boys of their potential.
Yeah, the potential for good.
It's like we get so focused on the negative.
The bad behavior.
Yeah, and we forget that, like, they're good kids.
Every boy has that potential
Mhm.
for empathy, compassion, kindness.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's our job to help them, like, tap into that.
To nurture those qualities.
Yeah, show them that that's what makes a man.
Exactly. And, we were talking about Gen Z bro media earlier.
Right.
I think we should, like, unpack that a little more.
Okay, yeah. Beyond Andrew Tate, what are we talking about here?
Well, it's this emphasis on traditional masculinity.
Okay.
Often, like, super hyper masculine.
Like a caricature, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Promoting stoicism, self-reliance.
Rejecting anything feminine.
Right. Anything that's seen as weak or soft.
So it's like back to the old days
In a way, but it's also mixed with this modern anxiety.
about being a man.
Yeah, like male identity
Yeah.
in a world that's changing so fast.
Right, it's confusing for them.
Totally. And this type of content offers them a simple solution.
Which is?
Embrace this, like, rigid definition of masculinity,
Okay.
and you'll be powerful.
But that's not really a solution, is it?
No, it's more like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Yeah, it's not going to fix the problem.
And that's why we need those open conversations.
Bye, boys.
Yeah, to help them understand there are healthier ways.
To help and define themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, so what can we do to, like, counter this media? It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, yeah.
So what can we do?
Well, first, we got to be aware of it.
Okay.
Understand the messages, the tactics, and then you can start having those critical conversations.
With the boys.
Yeah, ask them questions like, what do you think about this?
Hmm.
How does it make you feel?
Right.
Is this like a real portrayal, of what it means to be a man.
So it's about, like, teaching them to think for themselves.
Exactly. To see through the BS.
And we need to give them other narratives.
Yes. Positive role models.
They're real life and in media.
Yeah, show them men who are strong and compassionate,
Right.
vulnerable, emotionally intelligent.
There are so many good examples out there.
Yeah, in books, movies, TV shows, even podcasts.
Yeah, we gotta show those stories.
The ones that show them that there are many ways to be a man.
And that real strength comes from embracing, like, your full self.
Exactly, and it all comes back to that loneliness epidemic.
Right, if they're struggling with isolation.
They need to see healthy relationships.
And those can be with anyone.
Yeah, family, friends, mentors,
Teach
coaches, anyone who makes them feel seen and valued,
for who they are.
not who they think they should be,
Right, it's about creating those safe spaces
where they can be themselves, express their emotions.
without being judged,
Yeah, and build those authentic connections.
which are so important for everyone.
Absolutely.
And those connections don't have to be with just men.
Right, they need strong relationships with women too.
Mothers, sisters, aunts.
Grandmothers, female friends.
Yeah, we focus so much on the male role models.
But women are just as important.
They are.
Those relationships can help boys understand women better
Challenge stereotypes.
and learn to relate in a respectful, equitable way.
So it's about a more, like, holistic approach,
Yeah, more inclusive.
recognizing both male and female influences.
Exactly, moving away from those rigid gender roles.
And giving boys the space to develop their full potential
As human beings.
with all the complexity that comes with that.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
It's been a heavy conversation,
It has.
but I'm also feeling hopeful.
Me too.
Like, there are things we can do.
There are. We're not powerless.
So let's talk about that. What are some actions we can take
Well, as we've been saying, it starts with being present.
in their lives?
Yeah, engaged. Having those tough conversations.
Setting boundaries, being good role models.
Exactly.
And being mindful of the media they consume.
You can't just assume they'll figure it out on their own.
All right.
We have to help them navigate that world.
So, like, curating their media diets.
Yeah, exposing them to positive content.
That reinforces good values.
Empathy, compassion, respect.
It's not just the media, though, right?
No, it's also about their activities.
Sports teams, clubs,
Things that promote teamwork
Yeah.
and social interaction.
creative outlets.
Yeah, finding their passions.
All those things are important.
For sure.
And mental health.
Huge.
Boys are taught to bottle everything up.
Which is so unhealthy.
We need to create a culture where it's okay to talk about feelings
To seek help.
and prioritize mental well-being.
And that starts with us.
Right.
We have to model those behaviors.
Show them it's okay to be vulnerable.
To ask for help. To take care of ourselves.
It's not about fixing boys
No, it's about creating a better environment.
for them to thrive.
Exactly.
And that benefits everyone.
Their well-being is linked to our collective well-being.
When boys thrive,
We all thrive.
it's a powerful idea. It feels like, this is so much bigger than just one TikTok video.
Oh yeah, way bigger.
We're talking about, like, how we raise boys
The messages they get.
and the kind of men they become.
It's about societal expectations, cultural narratives, and the struggles they're facing.
And there's no easy answer, right?
No, it's going to take all of us working together.
Parents, families, communities.
Institutions, everyone.
But we can do it.
We can. We have to.
So you talked about listening to young men.
Mm.
What does that actually look like in real life?
It's about creating that space where they feel safe
Okay.
to talk, to share what they're going through.
To be vulnerable.
Exactly. To ask for help.
Put the phones down.
Make eye contact
Really listen.
without judgment.
Boys are told to, like, bottle it up.
Man up. Hide your feelings.
We have to change that.
It's okay to not be okay.
Have feelings, even the messy ones.
And we need to be aware of the messages we're sending.
Right.
Are we reinforcing those old stereotypes?
It's about what it means to be a man.
Yeah. Are we teaching them that their worth is tied to their achievements,
For their strength.
their ability to, like, shut down their emotions
We have to challenge those beliefs.
and replace them with something better,
Messages that tell them they're worthy.
that celebrate who they are?
Encourage them to be kind and compassionate.
And remember, actions speak louder.
We have to walk the walk.
Show them what it means to be a good man.
Goes back to that idea that these boys aren't bad.
They're lost.
We have to see their potential.
Believe in them.
Offer guidance and support. I read this quote. Every child is born a genius, but the process of living de-geniuses them.
Wow, that's powerful.
We need to create environments where they can be their full selves.
Explore, express themselves without fear,
Nurture their curiosity, their creativity.
Their empathy, their compassion.
All those amazing qualities.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that question, is that who you want to be?
Right, that Austin asks
It's a challenge.
to look in the mirror.
And be honest with yourself.
Are your actions matching your values?
I think that's a question we can all ask ourselves.
Absolutely. Are we living the way we want to?
Making choices that reflect our best selves.
Are we making the world a better place?
It's easy to lose sight of that.
In the chaos of life.
The pressure, the expectations.
That's why self-awareness is so important.
Surround yourself with good people.
People who support you.
Create a life that feels meaningful.
Authentic, a life you're proud of.
That's a great message.
It is.
We have the power to make a difference.
In our own lives and in the lives of others.
Every little bit counts.
Kindness, compassion, courage.
It all matters.
It does.
This has been quite a journey.
It has.
So much to think about.
Complex issues, but there's hope.
What's the biggest takeaway for you?
That we can create a world where boys thrive.
A world that values empathy and connection.
That's what we need.
It's not about fixing them, it's about supporting them.
Letting them be who they are.
And I think Austin's video, as hard as it was to watch, it started a really important conversation.
One that we need to keep having.
So let's keep talking, keep listening.
Keep learning. Keep working together.
This is just the beginning.
It is.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep learning, keep questioning.
Keep making the world a better place.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.